So sometimes I start an episode or start the notes to an episode and something comes up and I can't get to it. And a couple days later I get to it and you'll never know the difference. And then there's those rare times when it takes me days and days and days and like weeks to get to the episode that I've been trying to record for 10 or 11 days now. And that, my friends, is going to be Coast to Coast Pinball episode number 123, which you're listening to the cold open intro. So, without further ado, let's go. Welcome to Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast commentary. My man out of quarters. How are we doing? Happy Thanksgiving. I missed you guys. Thanksgiving. I missed it. I'm sorry. It's Sunday night, November 30th. I'm coming to you not live from the kind of brisk San Diego area. I think we're dropping into the low 60s. Low 60s. Ooh, brr, cold. How's everyone doing? So since we last spoke, I literally drove and flew all around New England and New York, avoided the snowmageddon nightmare that was Buffalo, New York. I was supposed to go to Buffalo last week, or the week before last week, 2 weeks ago, and had a plane ticket booked and a driving path set, depending on how I was going to go, and then kind of decided neither, and ended up flying just to Rochester, where they didn't get hammered on snow, to do one event there. Back to New York, got to play quite a bit of pinball at Modern Pinball NYC. Played some pinball to Pinball Wizard up in Pelham, New Hampshire. That was good. So my last road trip of the year did have some good evenings filled with pinball, but I wasn't finding opportunities to do shows. Free Play Florida was going on. I had some nice emails and text messages about things that were going on down there. And it's the end of the year. I don't want to say doldrums, but it's the end of the year kind of lull right now. There's a lot going on with my job and work. Right. It's the end of the sales year, so there's a lot of that going on. I had one big long crazy trip left, and then Thanksgiving hit, so it was holidays, and Teresa's been off the entire week. Her school takes this whole week off, so there hasn't been a lot of time to sit down and do the show. I've played quite a bit of pinball. Teresa and I have actually been having pinball wars in here, and she's actually beaten me a few times, which is humbling. And I am working on my Bride of Pinbot. I'm actually ordering a whole new MPU board. Not thrilled to have to do that, but my swap out of Chip U20 did not address the problem. I think there's further damage, so we'll be getting a whole new board for Bride of Pinbot. And then I'll have to make the decision, do I want to keep the game or sell the game? And I don't know where I'm at with that. I'm also having second thoughts on selling Tales from the Crypt. I need a bigger place. So there's my first couple minutes of just ranting. I don't know. I have pent up stuff in my head. There's a lot going on, and I haven't been able to talk about it. And here we are with all the time in the world, or at least 45-ish minutes to talk about what's going on in the world. And I think that there's a story that I need to lead off with. I need to get it off my chest. And that story can be followed along in the Pinside forums, which leads us to our opening segment of
Forum Static.
Yes, static on the forums. Noise, happenings, things on the forums. And this particular topic, as of record time for Coast to Coast Pinball episode 123, is at 3,282 posts. It's 66 pages long. I have to read it, skipping 2 and 3 pages at a time and then backing up if something interesting is quoted or said. And that is Hobbit Update. Hobbit Update in the Jersey Jack Pinball subthread. So I will tell you this. After Expo came and went, a lot of stuff happened. Things were discussed in depth on this show, on other shows, on the internet, on Pinside, and I had personal emails from Jack, from a couple other people at Jersey Jack Pinball, thanking me for being honest about my thoughts of The Hobbit at Expo, but also telling me, get ready because we're going to make it better. Like they had a very good attitude about the constructive criticism that was doled out by many, including myself, on what we saw of The Hobbit in person. And I was a little torn because I did know it was early days, but once you heard the crowd speak and the universe of pinball players sort of kind of collectively say, weren't that impressed on what they saw at Expo, I had to boil that down into some sort of, soundbite and have an opinion. And I did have an opinion, and I thought that they had missed the mark on the artwork. I thought that the gameplay needed something else to happen. I thought the book toy was an odd choice. I felt like the layout was a little lacking in excitement, I guess would be the way I put it. Now, I thought the animations on the back glass in the large LCD screen were amazing. I thought the sound was awesome. I kind of liked the ramps. I believe I said I did like those ramps. I had some real big issues with some of the vertical upkicker trail with the side art. It looked like it was literally pasted on. I had some problems with the game, and being so close to production time on a $8,500 game, or an $8,000 game, I guess, for the standard edition, I was a little concerned. And I thought it was really awesome that Jack emailed me himself and said he'd listen to the episode, which, very cool, because I'm a fan of Jersey Jack. If nothing else, I haven't been the biggest Wizard of Oz fan in the world, although I've had some great times playing that game lately. I'm a big fan of him and his drive to make that company successful. So to see such a positive response to would have been very easy to just be like, oh, screw that dude, screw that Coast to Coast guy. He's a jerk. He's just a hater. He's just trying to create noise. But no, I think he realized I was being honest. I was trying to be fair, and he said, we're going to make it better. Let's talk again. So, Free Play Florida happened down in the Orlando area, and Jersey Jack Pinball brought The Hobbit again. And what I can tell you, it is, first of all, I'm actually misspeaking here, because it was ahead of Free Play Florida. It was the IAAPA trade show, which is like the whole amusement industry. So, I'm sorry, it wasn't actually Free Play Florida where this happened. It was the IAAPA trade show in Orlando ahead of Free Play Florida. Jersey Jack had a booth where they showed off the updated versions of The Hobbit, and they had a release sort of to the internet of the new artwork. And what I will tell you, just at my first glance at this new playfield artwork, was, oh yeah, that's much better. Like, much, much, much better. Like, not 10% better, but like 70% better. Instead of now having the mountain above the lower inserts with the small, full Smaug dragon above the mountain blowing fire with two of the pop-up toys on either side of him, we now have Bilbo Baggins running across gold with a bunch of electricity coming out of a green area with this giant close-up, more properly scaled, I think would be the good way to term that, vicious-looking Smaug dragon on the playfield coming right at you, like flying towards you. Much, much better. Like, so much better. It fades at the top above the lock inserts back into basically the same color scheme of artwork, the blues and purples that are up there, and that's fine. But just the immediacy of looking down and seeing this dragon that is just hell-bent on destruction coming right at you is so much better than what looked like the Paramount Mountain with a skinny dragon flying above it in tiny scale in the background with clouds in the distance. It wasn't compelling to me. It wasn't action. It was like, oh, that's kind of pretty. And now we have action. Now we have fire on the top of the houses, and the tail of the dragon is out behind him. It's cool. I like it a lot. And if you can say nothing else about Jersey Jack, it's they seem to know how to react. And this is a good move. This playfield art is much better. I think this will stand the test of time. It's photorealistic. It's straight out of the movie, which I think is okay. I think they have to do that with this license. And it's just a better-looking game for this theme and sort of pinball to have the dragon right in your face, I believe. So that, to me, is a big step forward. Some other major changes to The Hobbit that occurred that were released a couple weeks ago. So on the original prototype that we played at Expo, we had a Smaug head mounted on the backside of a rock structure that spun around, and then Smaug talked to you. Well, we've taken away the rock structure now, so that's gone. And now we just have a Smaug head sticking out of a bunch of gold piles, and to the left of him we have this. I don't know the exact termination for what it is, but it's like pillars, like a stone wall pillars, which I believe used to be a palace that's inside the mountain, and the gold is around that. So now there's those pillars up there, and Smaug's head is there, and I believe it still turns left to right. It talks to you, but it's redesigned. There's both the gold version and the red version. And I think they've since redone the gold version to make him not quite so gold. They're still working on it. They're taking feedback. They're making it better. So this version of Smaug, while I did kind of like the spin around, I didn't really like the back of it just being rock looking, because when you walked up to the game, it didn't look very compelling. It was kind of like, what's the big rock over there? So I think the dragon head is probably a better move. I think that's probably a better way to go. So far so good. I think I like that. Other changes, those vertical up kicker forms that I was referencing that had kind of a photoshopped and pasted on artwork, like scenery from the movie. I thought they looked terrible. I thought that was actually really bad. Those are gone. And now they have wire forms, cool-looking wire forms that I think fit the movie really good. We're talking about Middle Earth and, bronze and steel, and I think that just works out really well. So it matches the habit trail that runs down the right side. I think that's a good move as well. The book is gone. I think that is also big, awesome news. They have actually reworked this entire section, which I would call the area below the pop bumpers, the barrel pop bumpers. The book was a head scratcher, and I think we all knew from Expo going out that was going to change. I think Jack went on record saying that was going to change. So the book became an LCD screen, and that was rumored as well. We'd heard that might happen. And now you have a small LCD screen kind of tucked back behind the pop bumpers. Above them, really, behind them, above them, in the back right corner of the game. Now, you have this giant LCD screen in the back box, and this little tiny one, the size of a PlayStation Vita screen, I guess, or something like that, or like an iPhone screen, smaller than that, it looks like, in the back right of the playfield. I kind of like that. I like the idea of more LCD screens. I think that's a great way to run other modes and do other things. And this is a game that is bragging about having over 30 modes. And with countdowns and multi-balls, I think that having that extra LCD screen right in the player's view is probably really cool, really a good idea. So I'm liking that. That I'm liking. They punched words into the ramps. So we have laser cut and backlit ramps that now on the left side ramp say book time and the right side say lock mode. I don't really care about that. That's fine. If they light up well when one of them needs to be hit and it shows people what to aim for, that's a positive, right? That's a good thing. So that could be cool. I'm good with that. They've also changed the bank of targets that was below the book. Is gone now, and I think they're calling it the bag end shot that you can shoot directly up into the pop bumpers. I think that's a big, big positive change, because one of the problems I had in my brief play on The Hobbit in Chicago was I felt like you were sort of walled into this big open playfield. It was this big, wide open playfield with two ramps at the top and a bunch of drop targets everywhere, but I just didn't feel like there was much to do, really. It just had a strange, open, empty feeling to it. And now you have both a shot into the vertical up kicker, which is the one that up kicks into that new wire form. You have a shot just left of that, which goes straight up into the pops, which also, and maybe more importantly, is a place for the ball to come out of the pops. So you have more ways for the ball to move around the playfield. And then you also have the spinner to the right, the two ramps in the middle, the bank of drop targets, and there's a shot or two to the left. So now there's actually a lot of shots. There were a lot of shots, but it's just more, and it's more open. There's more ways for the ball to get around this big playfield. It's a wide-body game with a lot of open space because you have the 4 pop-up toys from the playfield, the quote, trolls. So these changes are good. These are all good. I don't know when they're going to build these and ship these. It sounds like they're getting really close. I've been kind of torn on all the editions now, though. Because now what we have, and let's just recap the Hobbit real quick. We have the standard Hobbit. It's $8,000, and it has like the movie scene, artwork on the sides with like the whole cast. Stainless steel metal armor and lockdown bar. That's going to be kind of the key to know that you're looking at a standard, I think. There's different artwork on the sides. You won't always be able to see the sides of a machine. I noticed that on like some of the Stern games where it's the side art is your big tipping point, or if the back glass. And as these back glasses, I believe, are all the same. Most of it's an LCD screen, but the side artwork you can't see all the time. Well, the armor, your metal is going to be the big giveaway. If it's stainless steel or chrome looking, that's going to be your standard. I think all these games are going to play basically the same, right? So the standard's kind of your player's game. Then you have the limited edition. So the limited edition is going to have what they called Seaside Bronze powder-coated body armor and legs. And this is where you start getting upgrades. You get Invisiglass, you get a shaker motor, you're going to get your game numbered. And the pop bumpers change, I believe, on some of these. No, they're all... I don't know. I'm confused with their PDF sheet on how they wrote this. Maybe they all have the same one pop bumper and 2 barrel jumpers. That's fine. Get it. And then now you have the Smog Gold SE Standard Edition. Is that what that is? Smog Edition? Smog Edition? Standard Edition? I guess it's Smog Edition, not a Standard Edition really at all. So the Smog Edition, Smog Gold SE. This is going to have gold-coated body armor and legs, and then the Smog toy is actually gold as well. And the artwork on the side of the games is the big evil Smog dragon. So that one's $9,000, and I believe the limited edition one's $8,500. So you've got $8,000, $8,500, and $9,000. The gold special edition is what the SE stands for. Excuse me, I should know that because my company does that. Special edition will be no longer available after December 31st, I believe is the date. So after December 31st, you're done. You can't get it. Then it's only going to be limited edition or standard. I hate that there's 3 of them, but I do understand that all these companies that are not Stern, and even Stern for that matter, has to sell games right off the bat. You have to create some sort of lure and some sort of excitement and push. And once they started realizing that people were super, super keyed in on Smaug as a character and as part of the game, that became the hook. And I see why they had to go that way. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. So I don't love that there's 3 editions. I wish there was just one awesome one. Like I think Jack had said earlier in 2014 that there was going to be just one, that he was done with LEs. Well, we're not done with LEs, and I don't know that we can be done with LEs. And it might behoove smaller companies to always be thinking about an LE, or at least limit the run total, which Jersey Jack is not going to limit their run of these games, period. Just like Stern is not going to limit the run of how many, Walking Dead pros are going to build. But they'll do the LE so that you can have the collectible side. Because that does drive sales. I don't want that to drive sales for some reason. I want to be I'm the guy who just wants everyone to get the same game. And everyone to be thrilled with having the game. But that's not reality. And I can't put my head in a hole and pretend that there aren't people who buy games simply because they're more rare and they may go up in value, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. So I want companies to survive. And if that means to survive, you need to do cool special editions, limited editions, then you know what? Do it. By all means, do it. I just hope that the gameplay of the games is mostly the same. That is my pet peeve with limited editions, and Stern has done a few changes recently that drive me crazy. Spinners, but we've talked about that before. So I will reserve judgment any further on The Hobbit until I get to see another working prototype, and it may be months. It may not be till Texas that I get to see the next Hobbit in my hands. Games may ship by that point. I don't know exactly. But I will say hats off to the Jersey Jack team. I think that what they are showing us now in November is a more compelling game than what they were showing us in October. And that's great, because that's not a long time. So kudos to them. I look forward to reports back on more gameplay. I did talk to somebody, a world-class player who was at the trade show and did get to play the game. and he did comment that he said he thought it looked better than it did at Expo and played pretty good. So that's all I got going to go on right now on The Hobbit, but it's exciting times, I think, at Jersey Jack, because people are now much more focused on the white GI versus the RGB GI, and that's a good thing. I think people are starting to settle in with the layout of the game and where it's going to be by the time they get to production. I have a total side rant that isn't even on my notes for tonight. It's kind of born out of talking about The Hobbit. That I want to talk about this because I think it's interesting and I think it's important. And I've actually said this privately to at least one of the smaller independent pinball manufacturers that's in the game right now, who asked me thoughts on a title they were working on, and I will leave it at that. And it's actually spurred on by another email from a different company that actually made a comment saying, everybody says they want original themes. Well, here they are. Let's sell some original themes. And I made a comment a few episodes back where I said, or maybe it was in an interview from Expo, I think I said, everyone says they want original themes, but I don't think they do. I don't think people actually do. And when I say people, I'm talking about the community as a whole, want just original themes. I want original themes if done in a way that suits my needs. I think is a much more accurate way to portray the pinball buying community. I want an original theme if it hits a point in my memory bank that strikes up fun memories of stuff that I was either into or stuff that I like now. If it's a band I'm into, or and they do a licensed band theme, I might buy that just because of the band. Well, the same thing could be with an original theme if it's something that I liked. And I guess the best example of that would be something like Attack from Mars. Attack from Mars is a great original theme because I liked aliens and I liked flying saucers and I liked reading about Roswell, and it's just sort of a genre theme that I really liked growing up. So it sort of strikes a memory with me of like, oh yeah, I like Martians and stuff like that. I have to say this though. If I was running a pinball company right now, a small pinball company, an independent company that's looking to sell somewhere for, ideally to sell somewhere between 100 and 500 games a year. If that would be like success for me, I don't think I'd do an original theme. I just don't think I would do it. I think it's too risky. I think if you don't do it exactly right, you alienate people even who would be interested in your theme. I think that you can make sales just on a licensed theme alone, despite what the game is. And I will bring you a few examples here to make my argument. My first one will be Skit B Pinball. Predator. Okay, they sold that game because it was a Predator pinball machine, right? And they sold that game because people liked Kevin and liked the idea of the company, and there was nothing else really other than Stern and at the time I think Wizard of Oz out on the horizon. Their new game, Experts of Dangerous, that's going to be really tough. I think that it's probably from just a purely business decision. And I'm not trying to criticize here, because I like Kevin. He's a really good dude. Just from a business decision, I think it's a mistake. And I hate to use that word because it seems like a harsh word there, but I think it's an error in business judgment there. Yes, I know it's not truly an original theme, but it's obscure enough that it may as well be. Okay? The guys from the Mythbusters show are not even tying this to Mythbusters. It's Experts of Dangerous. I think the game very well could end up being awesome. Some of the things that have been sort of told to me about it sound really cool, but they're not going to sell any of those games until that thing is like done. Done. Whereas, looking at Predator, if they had another game announced in that genre type film name, I think they'd have a lot of excitement and a lot of people ready to buy it. If not buying it already, at least ready to buy it. And my case in point here, the counter to the Skit B move is Highway Pinball and Aliens, however it's going to technically be pronounced. They brought out Full Throttle, and everyone was kind of excited. Ooh, new company based in England, Highway Pinball. This guy's really into the industry. He's been in the industry a long time. Hey, look, it's got cross ramps. That's cool. Oh, it's got a LCD screen in the playfield. That's neat. I was excited. I don't really care at all about the theme, like at all. Don't care. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. Game's okay. Game's okay. It doesn't pull me in. Artwork doesn't pull me in. Theme doesn't pull me in. Gameplay's fun. It's quick. It's fast. It's cool. It's kind of like High Speed to me. High Speed, great game. It's fun. It's quick. It's fast. Cool. Doesn't really pull me in. It is what it is. And it's really competitive right now. You got to pull someone in. It's getting competitive. So their next move is going to be Alien Pinball. There's people already sending money on this game. There's people who don't know what this game's going to play like. There's been a sketch shown. There's been a toy or two shown. Dennis Nordman's attached to it. There are people excited about this game just because of the theme. It's Aliens. The movie Aliens. It's huge. It's a cultural phenomenon. It was sci-fi meets horror with good acting and great art. And I'm telling you, that theme's a good one. That's a great call. Big thing there. So Highway Pinball now finds themselves, I think, as a big player in the independent build pinball machine world now, and it's not because of Full Throttle. I just don't think it is. Full Throttle, I think, is a bit of a litmus test. Like, hey, look, they can build a game, and it does play good, and it's competent, it's all there. I don't think that game's all that compelling. I think it was probably very fun to play. If you gave me a Full Throttle game for 10 hours in a room all night long, I'd have a lot of fun. I'm not saying that, but I'm being ultra picky here because we're talking about selling games for $6,000 to $10,000 in the new market. So they go to Alien. They do the opposite. They go where Skit B went from this big license to this tiny theme, small license. They went from this non-licensed original theme, Full Throttle, to this big license. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think if you look at Stern and their just steadfast desire to keep doing licensed themes, there's a reason, because there is a chunk of people, if you choose your theme right, who will be interested and ready to buy. And in our industry, there's a group, and I don't know if this group is 500 people. I don't know if it's 5,000 people. But I think it's somewhere in that range, between 500 and 5,000 people that at the drop of a hat will buy a pinball machine if it connects with them. Like, really, at the drop of a hat. And if you're an independent builder struggling to get your traction going, get up and running so that you can actually say to yourself, I'm making my living selling pinball machines, you need to get as many of those people as you can. So you take a look at Spooky Pinball. I'm a customer of Spooky Pinball. I should be getting my game here in the next month. America's Most Haunted, an original theme. I was very excited about an original theme. It spoke to me. It had the campiness factor. It had the ghosts, and it hit me dead center. And I liked the layout. I liked the modes. I liked the rules. I liked a lot of things going on there, and I liked the price. So all these things together, and bam, I'm a buyer. I am actually kind of shocked they haven't sold out of these games. 150, I think, is the limit on how many America's Most Haunted they're going to build, and you can still get one. If they had released this game 3 years ago, they'd be gone. But it's tough right now. There's more competition. There's more places to spend your money. You can get a Medieval Madness. You can get a Wizard of Oz tomorrow. You can get all these Stern games. The Hobbit's coming. The Big Lebowski is coming. And I think it's a shame, because I think America's Most Haunted, it's a really fantastic game. But if I'm Spooky Pinball, and I'm not Spooky Pinball, and I'm not in their business on any level, but if I'm them, and I'm watching, if I'm looking at what's happened, and Charlie, I think, made a good move on taking game number 2, which was sort of being developed, and I think the plan was to build right right after or right along with America's Most Haunted. Game number 2 was the Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave, which had this great back glass and this cool zombie thing going for it. Well, they see The Walking Dead come from Stern and they pull back a little bit. And Charlie says in interviews he'd be crazy to go up against the Stern machine in their zombie game. If I'm Spooky Pinball, tomorrow, whenever, probably the moment I've sold 150 America's Most Haunted, or I've resigned myself to, I'm kind of there. I would probably announce I sold 150 even if I didn't. That's just me. Whatever. I would, or at least call the production run done and never say another word about it. And if it's 125 games or 135 games, whatever. We capped that run at 150 and we finished our production. That's a great way of not saying how many we built. I would do something like that myself when the time comes. And the time is certainly not there. They're very busy building machines. But when that time comes, I don't think I do another original theme yet. I think I put Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave on the back burner. And I went on record after Midwest Gaming Classic this year and playing the early prototype of that game. I didn't have an issue with the artwork that some people seem to. And Charlie has publicly admitted that, oh man, we got smacked down on the artwork. I didn't have that big of an issue with the artwork. I thought maybe the scaling of some of it could be different, the layout of some of it different. The back glass incorporated down on the playfield, I think, would have fixed the problems there. So I think that wasn't a hard fix. The layout was definitely different. It was interesting. It was unique. It was a throwback in a lot of ways. I totally got what they were going for. I'd put it on hold. I'd put it away. I would call Roger Sharp, who is this industry's guru at licensing, and I would have a list. I would find a list of 5 to 10 licenses that would really excite me. I think we already know where Charlie's headspace is. He loves horror. He loves old horror. And I would have some lists. And I think, and a lot of people assume, oh, I can't afford a license to an expensive horror movie. I think you'd be surprised. But this is my official, what I would do if Charlie and I switched places and he was running this podcast and I was running his, which would mean I was running his pinball company, I would put Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave on the back burner. That would be slated as my game 3 or 4, or whenever I get around to it. I would almost make it sort of this talked about thing like Wizard Blocks, this thing that we saw real briefly, sort of, but nobody ever got to really touch it and feel it. I would make it that. I would create an aura around Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave. This thing, people are like, oh, I want to play this John Trudeau's Forbidden Planet. Like, really, it's probably not that great, to be quite honest with you. It probably sucks. I got a Wizard Blocks. It's going to be the greatest thing. Nah, it probably sucked. Probably wasn't that good. And I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. But I would do that with Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave. I would make it this thing that, as Spooky Pinball becomes a bigger company, people start getting on Pinside and typing all, slamming their fingers down on the keys. I can do this for you in real time. I can't wait till they build Pinball Zombies from Beyond the Grave. I'd be in on that on day one. And then finally someday I'd be like, all right, we're going to build 200 of them. Get in or get out. And then I would do it. What I would do right now is I would get on the phone with Roger Sharp. I would have my list of horror themes, my spooky themes that I want. And I don't know if it's Phantasm or Godzilla again. I know we've seen a Godzilla pin, but I think it could be done much better by somebody who really knows and cares. But I would have my list, and I would find one that fit in a budget, and I would figure out how to do that, because the right horror theme, the right spooky theme, done properly, will sell games instantly. And I think that you have to weigh, and I'm sure of this, because I've worked on creative projects before, albeit not pinball machines, but other creative projects. You have to weigh two things. What's your drive? What's your desire? Are you building a game just to make yourself happy with the artwork and the theme and the whole vibe of it? Is that, if that's what you're doing, then by all means just do original themes. Forget if you'll ever sell them. Don't worry about it. Or are you building games just because you want to sell a bunch of games? Well, then just license whatever's popular and do that. Likely, everybody's somewhere in the middle. I think Stern is the far side of the license. They just want to sell a lot of games. They're a manufacturing company. They talk about it. Now, luckily, they're a manufacturing company that employs a ton of pinball people. And that's great. You have some of the greatest minds in pinball, some of the most passionate pinball people on the earth work at Stern Pinball. That's why they're still putting out awesome machines. But from the top down, as a business, they're a manufacturing company. So they are going to go find out the licenses that will give them the best shot at selling the most games. On the other end of the spectrum, I think you have Spooky Pinball. I think you have, hey, let's start a pinball company. And it snowballed on them. And like, oh my gosh, a year and a half, 2 years in, they're actually doing it. And you hear it out of them. Like, hey, we're actually doing this. They're thrilled. They're excited. Well, I think they need to come to the middle. Find that balance of a theme and a game that you can look at for the next year to design and build and be really thrilled at and happy with, but also maybe find a theme, a license that will generate business and make the ease of entry into players' homes a little bit easier. I beg you to do that. I beg anybody, and that's not just Spooky, that's anybody, that's Skit B. I think Dutch Pinball's on that. I think they're totally on that. Highway, I think, realized that. I think Highway probably was going, man, we built an awesome game, but nobody cares. Why? Well, that's the theme. Oh, well, let's build an awesome game with a cool theme. Or at least a theme that people can dig into. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like that's been actually driving me sort of crazy. That I'm excited for Spooky Pinball, and I want them to succeed and build hundreds and hundreds of games, thousands of games. But I think right now, in the early days, boy, if their next game was, I don't know, Jaws, if their next game was Friday the 13th, whatever, ease of entry is just so much better at that point to get that game sold. And that's what's probably important to some of these smaller companies right now, I think, in my opinion. There, soapbox, I am off.
Check the email.
All right, let's dive into the mailbag and see where that may take us. Starting at the top here. Oh boy, the subject of this one is gloves. I think I was waiting on this. I knew this was going to happen. All right, Adam writes me, "Hey Nate, love the show. Keep up the great work. That said, I took major offense to your anti-glove rhetoric in episode 121. There's nothing wrong with it. There's dozens of us. Dozens. The main reasons for me are hygiene. There's some nasty people at some shows. No kidding. Tournament areas included. A lot of people wipe down the lockdown bar before they step up. I don't have to do this. Also, if I feel sweat or the lockdown bar is all hot, it throws me off. I have carpal tunnel and a pinball stance that places a lot of weight on my wrists. If I play for 5 hours without gloves, my hands start to tingle. Wearing them nullifies this effect. I also slap the machine a lot. Something that I don't do but have seen players do is nudge down. I've seen Andy Rosa save an unsavable ball by pulling the machine towards himself while wearing mover's gloves. Please thank Teresa for having a more open mind. P.S. Future Spa is not an EM. Yes, I know Future Spa is not a freaking EM. You should make this a shirt, he says. Ongoing joke on Future Spa. Future Spa, my favorite EM of that year. No. All right, Adam. Adam who wears gloves, apparently. Yeah. Hey, man. Awesome. I don't know. I have also seen Andy Rosa and his gloves. He's one of the higher-ranked players, I believe, who wears gloves. And I do know what it's like to walk up to a game in a tournament and the lockdown bar is just, like, really, really hot. Because people have been, like, sweating and playing on it. I'm not sure how much safer hygiene-wise those gloves are to not wearing gloves. I think if you get the germs in the gloves, they may likely find their ways to your body also. So nice try, though. I do appreciate the email. Thank you for the kind words, Adam. Let's see. What else do we got here? Don wrote me to warn me about replacing U20 chip. He said, I just listened to episode 122. I had to replace the U20 chip on my getaway. Had a column of switches out. Mine was just a failure of the chip. I would imagine yours is not socketed unless someone had put one in already. If they had, no biggie. Just be careful to chip removal and installing a new one. So I'll give you a little update on that. I got the U20 chip. Thank you, Pinball Life, for getting that out to me nice and quick. I'm pretty good at soldering now. I've gotten a lot better at that. Got the chip out off the board and got the new one in. and all the same problems. It was not the U20 chip. I knew there was a chance it was other stuff going on. There was a bit of battery corrosion on some of the capacitors and even on the U16 chip, I think, one of the other chips in the area. A lot of issues there. I think I'm biting the bullet and ordering a whole new Rotten Dog replacement MPU board for Bride Pinbot. I am also considering not selling it now. I have an ulterior idea on what I could do with a couple games, so I may not sell it, but I do know that I'm going to probably replace that whole board because it looks like some of that corrosion damage might be in areas where I can't fix. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the heads up on that, though, Don. What else we got here? All right, David writes me, "Hi, Nate. In Albuquerque, our local scene is limited, so we always have to consider buyers from Denver, Phoenix, etc. I want to be sure the buyer pretty much knows what they're getting before they get in the car, so I make a photosynth. I think it's a useful way to show the condition of a game over distance. Here's an example of the roller games I sold a while back." And he gives me a link to this photosynth quote. Sounds like something Teresa would do for school. She does all these photosynth stuffs. But it's a like a 3D sort of thing where I can like zoom in really, really in depth on the game. It's actually pretty awesome. I can pull in, zoom out, target different parts. It's neat. It's a good idea. So it looks like it's a Microsoft product called Photosynth. Photo SYNTH. Pretty cool idea. Not a bad idea at all for selling a game. I'm bad at selling games. I'm not good. So I hear you, David. Thank you very much. Let's see. Eric writes me, "Good evening, Nate. Continue to enjoy the podcast. Enjoyed latest episode Showdown very much. And surprise, I have a suggestion request for a future Showdown. As a pinball playing musician, it seems only natural that you match AC/DC Premium versus Metallica Premium. Hope to see you again at the Northwest show. Let me know and I'll bring Ezzles. Ezzles. That's that fried chicken that I somebody's already corrected me once on how to say that, but that was the best fried chicken I've ever had in my entire life in Seattle. Best always travel safe, Eric. Let me make a little note here on the next page in my notebook that will someday be episode 124. It shouldn't be too far away. It should be this week. Met Premium versus AC/DC Premium. We'll see if we can make that happen. That's not a bad one. I actually had a couple other showdowns already written up. I thought I might do one for this episode, but that's not going to happen tonight. Michael wrote me, "Hey Nate, loved your piece on trying to sell your games. I laughed hard. Thank you." Let's see what else. Any I haven't replied to. Brett writes, "Hi Nate, after listening to your recent podcast about women in competitions, I thought I would share something with you. The weekend just got... I've already read this in the show. Fail. Sorry, Brett, tried to read your email again. That was read on episode 122. That is an email not for the show. And then I did have an off-the-record email with some great reasons why maybe I shouldn't sell one of my games. So, Chad, I hear you, and I've taken that to heart. So we'll think about it. Yeah, so keep the emails coming. I know there's a ton more on this list that I haven't read out loud, but I'm starting to cross up what's been read and what hasn't, so I don't want to dive into that right now. At a later date. I'm just not ready to go to bed. Like, I don't want this show to end. I'm at like the 42-minute mark right now, according to this thing. I don't want to stop. So we're going to go into bonus time, and with bonus time, we pull out this segment.
Crazy Forum Static Mania.
All right, yes, we're going to do Crazy Forum Static Mania at minute 43 of the show because it's crazy, right? Another thing, I hate that bumper intro, that Crazy Forum Static Mania. If somebody sends me, so we'll call this a contest, and I don't like to run contests, but this is a contest. If you send me a new bumper that all I want it to do is say Crazy Forum Static Mania, and it sounds cool, and I like it better than what I already have, if I choose yours to replace mine, and I'm no guarantee I'll choose any of them, just saying, you might be wasting your time. But if you send me one, I'll send you a free t-shirt. T-shirt to anybody who can replace my Crazy Forum Static Mania, that annoying thing that I have recorded there. So let's jump into the Pinside forums, and we're going to go right down to all pinball. And I'm just going to see what we got here. Let's just go down. Like, why not, right? It's crazy. It's the forum static and it's mania. How many pins have you pre-ordered? Well, I'm going to tell you that I've pre-ordered one. And Canada here, I believe listener of the show, Canada, if I am correct, I believe. He says, I think this would be fun information to share. Have you ever pre-ordered a game? If so, how many? How much is the pre-order for? Did you get your game when expected? Would you pre-order again? That's a timely subject. A lot of people are kind of in or out on pre-orders right now. Different answers here. This is a fairly new thread, so there's not a ton of information here, but it looks like, there's quite a few people in here who have pre-ordered. We're going to go ahead and skip to the next one since that's not all that old. New Pinball Olympics event, Here's Ball. Here's Ball, you say. So, Rotor Dave, big-time pinsider in New Zealand, Rotor Dave. Inspired by Banger J and his horde of marauding mates, I have designed a new event for the Pinball Olympics. What you need is a hearse. Any old hearse will do, but it'll need to have a sliding-out coffin tray. Okay, a hearse with a coffin tray. Number 2, you need a pinball machine. Any old pinball will do. I had a dirty old Attack from Mars, ideal for this task. Set it to 1 ball, remove the tilt bob. Okay? And you need a power source for the pinball. In this case, an 800-watt sine wave generator. Strap it all in tight and watch the fun. And this is insane because he drives this hearse around. It's called Hearse Ball. And are they actually playing while they drive? How would that work? Yeah, they're playing Attack from Mars while driving this hearse around a big field. I think it's safe to say that the New Zealanders are insane. You're crazy. They literally have an Attack from Mars strapped to the back of a hearse with like the back thing open, and a guy is like running behind it trying to play Attack from Mars. He got the new world record is 1.5 laps, 93 million. So I think it's sad that there are times when I don't break 93 million on 3-ball on a game that is not strapped to the back of a automobile running laps around a field in New Zealand. You'll just have to go check that one out for yourself. That's got to be a first. What else we got in here? Comet Pinball's having a Black Friday presale. That's probably over. All right, here we go. Why selling Jurassic Park would be a big mistake, with an exclamation point. This is started by very famous pinsider Jared, who used to be Bakushan. I guess Bakushan is no more, and we're just going by Jared nowadays, huh? All right, fair enough. I respect that. All right, so here's what he says. He says, okay, I just want to discuss why selling Jurassic Park would be a big mistake. There's 2 types of owners out there, Jared says. Let me talk about both of them with you. 1, those pinball owners who do not own a Jurassic Park. That would be me. Those people should be trying with all their might and effort to locate and purchase one now. All right. Number 2, those pinball players who do own a Jurassic Park. Those owners should consider themselves lucky to own one, and any thoughts of selling, trading, or getting rid of this machine should be easily dismissed. But why? Why should have a question mark, not an exclamation point? Just a little bit of grammar there. There are 2 huge reasons that a lot of Jurassic Park owners are aware of. But you, the common pinsider, may have no clue about, as no one has ever made a dedicated thread about it. So here it is. You're welcome, LOL. Your should be you, apostrophe R-E, by the way. You are welcome. Sorry, just kidding. Grammar Nazi Nate tonight. Sorry. Revised code. So I think that you guys should know that there is a code update for Jurassic Park. That's cool. I think a lot of people listening to this show probably do know about that. And then this new T-Rex head. I did not know about the new T-Rex head. It says, oh yes, one of the coolest mods ever. A pinsider has been spending months and countless hours of his time to make a movie-accurate T-Rex replacement head with teeth that still functions 100% normally as the game intended. This new T-Rex is approaching the mold stage and will be for sale to the public sooner than later. The cosmetic difference this will make to the game cannot be understated, as this truly is how it should have come to begin with the Jurassic Park T-Rex already being considered among the greatest toy gimmicks in pinball history, making it look lifelike and terrifying like on the screen version, with sharp teeth is the upgrade every Jurassic Park owner has dreamed of. I gotta say, this mold here looks pretty cool. I do like that. It's much less like Dino from the Flintstones looking than the original Jurassic Park dinosaur. Jared writes, when combined, these two new modifications can totally update and refresh Jurassic Park, currently ranked number 66 out of 100 on the Pinside Top 100, and the fourth best Data East machine made. Therefore, if you sell your machine, you would be making a big mistake. Very interesting. All I'm going to say here is, did you hear me say I might not sell my Tales from the Crypt earlier? All right. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I can say. For reasons and stuff. What else we got on here? Looking for stuff that might be fun. No. See, John Trudeau's Forbidden Planet, like I was making fun of earlier. How are there 25 new posts on this thread that I haven't read? What are we talking about? Future updates. Somebody building this game? I don't keep up with this. Somebody is building this game based off the Whitewood. So, yeah, I don't know who has this, but somebody has this. And it looks like it's in England, maybe? I'm in over my head, guys. I don't know what I'm talking about. So you can check out the John Trudeau's Forbidden Planet thread yourself. Let's look into a different subform, because I'm not ready to call it a night. I won't do it. I'm awake. It's only 10 p.m. I gotta go back to work tomorrow after a 4-day weekend. Let's drop down into the market, because there's threads about it on Pinside. I'm sort of seeing it here in Southern California. I feel like the market is soft. Let's see if there's some deals in here. Well, the first thread is $35,000 for a new in-box Big Bang bar. I believe that was actually a while back. No, it was 52 minutes ago. So there is a eBay link for Cyber Monday. It's a Cyber Monday sale for a $35,000 Big Bang bar machine, new in box, being sold by Brother Coyote in Dayton, Ohio. Wow, interesting. That's a lot of money. What else we got? For trade or for sale, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Let's see where this is and how much we're looking at here. Skymont, who is in Richmond, Virginia, has a very good-looking Ripley's Believe It or Not, a game that is on my deep wish list. Says she is mint and the price is $3,500. Or I'm looking for a Bad Cars, which clearly means Bad Cats, or Jurassic Park. Interesting. That's top dollar on that, but this machine also does look just gorgeous. I mean, like really, really clean. So I don't know, $3,500 for Ripley's Believe It or Not. That's good money. What else we got in here? Getaway, High Speed 2, Mountain number 1 for sale. That is a part, not a game. Let me just get the games only. Pinball machines for sale. Need that subreddit. Here we go. Selling my Scared Stiff and wondering what I should ask for it. And that's an interesting one, because Scared Stiff was definitely one of those that crept up quite a bit. That price got up over $5,000 easily on this game. This one looks really nice. And everyone's saying the first two replies were $5,000 to $5,500 is fair for both. $5,500 would be fair. Then we had somebody saying, nope, prices are way down on this title. I would say $3,500 tops. I can be there in an hour, so obviously that's a joke. Some more informed people. Yeah, it's $5K. It's $5K or $5,500. That's going to be your ballpark range. He looks like he was kind of asking $5,200 for it. And I would say, let's see what Brian Kelly says, since when we care what our wives think. No surprise there. I thought he might have a price for us. So, yeah, Scared Stiff, if you look at that game, it's one of those Williams games that is fun. It's easy to understand. It has an awesome theme. Very collectible, being Elvira. Very, very collectible. And it jumped up pretty high in price. I can't see that game getting over, unless it's like a high-end pinball restored game, getting over $6,000. To me, I think you're starting to really have to look at what you're getting at that point. A home use only looking game, and I don't believe this one implies that it's home use only, but it's certainly in really nice shape. in the $5,000 ballpark is kind of what those are selling for. I could see those slipping well under $5,000 though, into the $4,500 range pretty easily the way things seem soft. So that's out there. That's interesting. Maybe one more. 8-ball deluxe, 1,400 in Kansas City. And Wizard of Oz LE for trade in the San Francisco Bay Area. Interesting. An LE Wizard of Oz already for trade. He says it's 99.9% flawless. Never had a single board problem. Tiny scratch on the roof to kill it. Spinning house. Don't believe he actually gives a price. Just lists a ton of games that he's looking for. So, any case, I'm seeing some deals on some games. I know there's some things here locally that a couple years ago would have been fetching a lot more money or would have sold immediately for the asking price. I know there's an Austin Powers locally here for $3,200. Seems like, that would have been a lot more than that a year ago. So anyway, I guess I got to end the show. I guess that has to be it. Getting close to an hour. We don't do that at Coast2Coast Pinball very often. So in any case, more shows coming up. Got a lot going on. We're going to New York in a couple weeks for the Big Lebowski VIP launch party dealio at Modern Pinball NYC. We're going to talk to the folks from Dutch Pinball. I'm very excited for that. Waiting on my America's Most Haunted and playing location pinball whenever I can. I suggest you do the same. Thanks for the emails. Hope to answer some more soon. If you'd like to email me, it's coasttocoastpinball@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, take care of yourselves.